have no win to look back on, it's very discouraging. But if I can look back and say, you know what, I screwed up breakfast and lunch and dinner, but I got a good 10-minute workout in, you can build off of that. So it's just putting that hope in them and showing them, like, you are good enough. And you may not feel it now, but we're going to work on it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Patrick Carr Show. I got a real special guest here for you because I know each and every one of you have had this question. How the heck can I get in better shape? How can I have that body that I've always dreamed about? Or at least, hey, listen, let me be able to look at myself in the mirror again and have that little bit of fortitude that I used to have as a man or a woman. And the guy who's with me across right here is going to help us out with that. I've got Danny Ruby of Armored Up Health and Fitness, man. I love what you do. First of all, we got Jason in the background, good friend. If he recommends you, then I'll tell you, you gotta be good at what you do. Welcome to the show, man.
Nice. How you doing, Pat?
Man, I'm really happy to be here with you. I've been looking forward to this because we're talking about health and fitness. Now, I've lost a little bit of size since the bodybuilding days, but it's still a big part of my life. How did you get involved in the world of health and fitness? And can you tell the viewers and listeners a little, just who are you? Who's Danny Ruby?
Well, what really got me started was I remember being 4 years old, seeing the Olympics come on, and just started lifting weights, training, just inspired by that. Then also, me and my stepfather, we'd watch UFC a lot. Seeing those guys, to me, that's like an ultimate fitness and way of using your body. And then just going from there, realizing that if I want to live my life to the full potential and accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, I should probably make sure I have good health, good fitness, so that I can continue to do those things.
Now, you're being a little humble here, Danny, okay? You're an expert at this, man. So when do you go from 4-year-old, you're lifting weights, your dad and you're watching UFC, or stepdad and you're watching UFC. Somewhere along this way, you really take this thing up and start training people. How did that process evolve? Because I want people to truly understand what an expert you are in this industry.
Well, one, I've always had a strong work ethic. I used to pull a lawnmower behind my bike as a kid, mow yards, and had a lot of time in management from a young age, directing people, coaching people, whether it be to do their job better or whatever it is. And I noticed that there's a lot of people that are down on their luck. Maybe they're having a hard time being positive. Maybe they're having a hard time reaching their goals. So started helping people with that, and then just chasing my passion. And then I started training jiu-jitsu. Started doing martial arts, training kickboxing, doing that. And I had a good job, but I wanted more. I wanted to do something I was passionate about. And so that's where it all took off. And the ultimate goal is to be able to do martial arts more, help people, help them get in better shape, reach their goals, accomplish their dreams, do what they want to do. And really that's how it all started to come together.
You are helping people do that. And we're talking about Armored Up Health and Fitness. You're based here in the Central Florida area.
Yes, sir.
But the incredible thing about what you're doing is you're making fitness achievable for people of all walks of life. Because I think that individuals who become a CEO, they think I'm too busy to go work out. The mom thinks, hey, listen, I don't have the time because I'm with the kids. There are other people in my audience who probably have just given up on fitness. Maybe like yourself as a young man or woman, they were very much into fitness, but now they've given up. They're, as I said earlier, they're looking in the mirror and they're not liking what they see. One of the things that you're so great at and what you're known for is being able to transform people without having to put in hours upon hours at the gym. How does that even possible? And why is that not more mainstream? Why does everyone think they got to get to the gym for hours upon hours? You've got a different way of looking at it.
So this is something I think about a lot because this is what I do for a living. So part of me working is working out. So I learn, continue to learn. I use myself as kind of an experiment for different things. But so with that being said, I have time to work out. I have to. But like you said, a lot of people feel like I'm too busy. I'm a mom, I'm a CEO, I'm this, I'm that. So my job is to figure out what's their lifestyle and how do I make this work for them. I don't want it to feel like it's an hour chore, 20-minute drive to the gym, work out for an hour, 20 minutes back. That's a lot of time out of your day. Mm-hmm. So you can get in really good shape with being consistent. Consistency is key. 5 to 10 minutes a day can really make a huge difference. I think people would be surprised if they just set aside 10 minutes. You can do it in your own home. You don't need special equipment. You don't need a certain amount of dumbbells. You can just move your body for 10 minutes in some very simple and effective ways and really get in good shape. Let's say you take body weight squats, set a timer. You do body weight squats for a minute, then you do push-ups for a minute, then you get down on the ground, you do some V-ups, you do a plank for a minute, then you run that back again. Now you start with body weight squats again for a minute. Start with push-ups again for a minute. Go back to V-ups for a minute. You do 3 rounds of that. That's 9 minutes. Put an extra minute in there for transition time. You've got 10 minutes. And there's a lot of variations you can add to that to take it to the next level, to make it more intense. And trust me, as simple as that is, it's highly effective. And it's literally 10 minutes out of your day. Look at how much time we spend on social media. We could easily cut out 10 minutes for that. And,
Absolutely.
You know, and it's about being active with your kids, feeling better, moving better. You know, a lot of people want to get in the best shape of their life. They compare themselves to someone in Hollywood. But really it starts with small changes lead to big changes. So how can I make my nutrition a little bit better? You know, maybe I start focusing on breakfast, and that's my win. That's my goal, is to have a good breakfast. And then the rest of the day, maybe I eat good, maybe I don't, but I got my win. I reached my goal. You know, then as that progresses, maybe for 4 weeks, now we focus on lunch. Mm-hmm. And then we progress that. Now we focus on dinner. To where if I said, eat perfect for 4 weeks, yeah, right, that's probably not going to happen, and you're going to feel disappointed like you can't do this. Yeah. But it's possible, and then we're learning, we're building habits. Those small habits turn into big habits. Just like anything in life, consistency is key.
Yes. I call that moving your horizon. I heard this from a Navy SEAL, is that too many people set their horizon too far out. They believe, okay, the horizon for me is 50 pounds that I want to lose and I'm going to be happy. The horizon where they should set it is, let me just start with breakfast. Let me just get through to lunch. Ed Milet says it all the time, the power of one more. I think the book is behind me. Changed my life, which is just, I don't have to make it to tomorrow. I just have to make it through one more meal, one more workout, one more phone call that I have to make. And that really coincides with setting your horizon in fitness at the right level. It should be just difficult enough to where you feel like you've accomplished something by getting there, but not to where it makes you feel bad, like you're beating yourself up right here. You got to have the right horizon, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And that's what you're doing for people, man.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this, because I want viewers to take away something very quick from this. I'm thinking about supplements and I'm thinking about food right now. What are you seeing right now with people that come to you, a food that they should either take away or they should be adding into their diet more? And the same thing for a supplement. What would you say is there, or do you believe in supplements? Give me your rundown.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of people that are deficient in vitamin D. So vitamin D is important. But one thing that I see a lot, even from healthcare practitioners, they say, okay, you're low on vitamin D, here we're gonna take some vitamin D. But they don't talk about magnesium. They don't talk about the other things that you need to take with vitamin D. So vitamin D is really important. Magnesium's really important, and also vitamin K. Those 3 things should be taken together. And then creatine is an excellent, easy, cheap, very effective supplement. It's going to help you live longer. Has so many benefits to it.
It really does. Now, creatine, monohydrate's the most, I believe, still the most raw form that you can get. But even just a little bit of creatine into the diet, it's going to be a beautiful thing. I remember the gains that I got from that when I was young were real. That's when they had like NO Explode was coming out on the market. I mean, just crushing it. So creatine, vitamin D, magnesium, and vitamin K, those are really what you see people coming into you that you're like, hey, listen, this is going to kickstart things for you. Yeah.
First of all, speak with a healthcare practitioner. Mm-hmm. Make sure that's right for you. But yes, that's a pretty common thing, and you need those. You need those together. And then as far as food goes, some healthy fats are super important. Some wild-caught salmon. That's something that I feel like enough people don't eat enough of. And just like 3 servings a week makes a huge difference in the omega-3s you get. And very important for brain health. I work with people with Parkinson's. I've been doing that for a while. And healthy fats are super important. For the longest time, we were told, avoid fats, avoid that. And that's, in my opinion, a leading cause of a lot of the, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and things that we're seeing nowadays. So
I love that.
most of all, if I had to say a food is, or foods, is stick to what God made. He really does give us our daily bread. Stick with what he made, not what man made, and that's going to change your life significantly. Just think of, is this what God wants me to eat? Is this what he gave me? Or is this what man made and is marketing to me, wherein when I taste it, I can't just eat one, I have to keep eating it, I have to keep overeating it. When you eat just the real food, we get what we need, and we don't have that feeling to overeat.
I want to talk about somebody who comes to you and let's just say they've let their fitness get away from them. And I think this is really hard. I'm only going to speak from a man's perspective. It's on men for one reason. We don't get a chance to moan to people about it. A lot of ladies out there, if they get a little bit overweight or something they feel like they are, hey, I'm overweight, I can feel like, hey, I can say something about that. Guys, if you lose 40 pounds of muscle, if you feel skinny and thin, and you tell somebody that, they look at you like, oh, stop complaining, right? But that's a real thing for men. For men like who haven't been in the gym, to get back in there again, get underneath some steel and feel like, man, I can't lift like I used to be able to. That'll mess with your head, Danny. Yeah. I know it because for me, coming off of steroids and testosterone and everything I was taking, some days I go in there and I'm like, oh, man, I feel like a little bit right now. How do you tackle the mental side of fitness? Because it's not just men, it's women too. They feel broken down, beaten down by life and by how they look. They don't feel confident. How do you start with them if I'm coming to you, Danny, to jumpstart that in their brain?
I'll tell you what works for me.
Yeah.
I do this day in, day out. People say, oh, it must be easy for you to work out. It must be easy for you to eat right. No, it's not. More days than not, I don't feel like working out, but I love it. I like how I feel after. But, I run a Christian-based health and fitness company. I involve God in a lot. That I owe all the success to him. I try to step out of the way and let him steer the ship. And I'll tell you, a really cool thing he did for us. When you work out, your body releases dopamine. That's the feel-good feeling. That's what makes you happy. That's what brings you up. And when you work out, even just 5 minutes, your body starts to release that. So there's days I don't want to work out. I don't feel like it, but I know what happens when I do. And maybe that workout ain't going to be to get in the best shape. It's just to change my mood because I got a bad attitude. Or maybe I got something I'm thinking about and I just can't get an answer on it. I work out for 5 or 10 minutes, boom. Now there's that idea. Now that problem's solved. And it didn't really come from me. It came from what God did for us. We work out, that dopamine gets released. And that's, for me, that's the main thing that keeps me going. And I think once people start to understand that, they understand, okay, I'm not always going to have the willpower. I'm not always going to have that. But there's this little secret tool that I can take advantage of. So that right there for me is very powerful. I've seen it work for a lot of my clients. And the other thing is, what's your other option? Here you got working out, and here you got 10 minutes of social media. What's going to be the most beneficial? And I've heard you say, and I can be guilty of this, I'm not careful. We get too busy listening to podcasts and not doing something about it. Yeah. So I can listen to podcasts all day about what health and fitness does for me, but eventually I got to get off the couch and do something.
Yeah. I look at going to the gym every single day. And when people are like, well, you do enjoy, I don't enjoy it. There's nothing about that process that I enjoy. There's none. But when I get done doing it, I feel better about me. I really regret that workout. Said nobody ever is my opinion. All right. And I think at some point it becomes a part of your character, like a part of your personality. And that's when you start, it's just like, I can't give up on it. It's a part of who I am. And that takes a long time to build. But once you do, it's a very powerful thing because then you don't let yourself be dictated by emotion. That's what, I don't feel like doing something today and therefore I'm not going to do it. And your head and your whole life is dictated by what you feel like doing. When something's a part of your character, though, it's a part of you as a person. It's like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it. I got to. It's who I am. It's like a part of just your system and your daily grind that you're going to do with yourself. That's a powerful place to be at once you get there.
I agree. Now, I will say something with that, though, is I try to check myself with that because I think of, you're right, it becomes who you are, but what if that was taken away? what if something happened to where I couldn't work out like that? And I lose that part of me. And am I still going to be confident? Am I still going to be able to, keep that going? But for me, in my opinion, the answer is yes, because I have built that inside of me. So I'm going to find something I can do. There's something I can do to move my body in a better way, whether it's eating better, moving a certain way, using what I can use. One thing I hear my wife say, and shout out to my wife, but that's really inspired me is she might have a pain in her leg or pain in her back, and she goes, Lord, thank you for my back. Thank you for this pain in my leg, because I have a leg that's there for me to feel pain in. And to me, that's pretty cool. That's like, it reminds us to be thankful for that. And there is something we can do, and we should do something with it. Yeah, there's someone out there that lost their leg, and they can't do those things, So we need to be thankful for this body we got. We need to respect it, and we need to use it. We're meant to use it. It's an awesome thing. It's a gift, and like I said, 5 or 10 minutes a day can really change lives.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room here a little bit, and that is steroids. You see a lot of people out there that compare themselves to other individuals. I'm going to give you a great example. Andy Elliott, all right, a popular guy on social media. Guy's got veins popping out of his arms and his abs and stuff, and gets up on stage and tells people, if you don't have a six-pack, you can't work for my company. I find that to be disingenuous when somebody is out there taking steroids, looking at somebody that's not, and then comparing their life to that person's life. Because I can tell you this, I've been on steroids before. A lot easier to go in the gym, a lot easier to recover, a lot easier to feel great about how you look, and a lot easier to cheat on your meals and still look like you're getting the same results.
Absolutely.
Okay? But at some point, I had to give that up because I want a family. And I said, better than looking big, I have to do what's best in the long term for my company, my well-being, my future wife, my kids. I want to have that opportunity. But you have to have people. You talk about comparing individuals against individuals in Hollywood or that person they see on Instagram. How much is that screwing with people's heads? And how much, in your opinion, are people using performance-enhancing drugs and just not talking about it? What do you see in the industry?
A lot of that's going on, and especially from a young person. Let's say they're 16, they want to start working out, and they see these guys that are huge. I'm not going to say any names, but you can see them all over social media, and I want to look like that guy. And then they're not reaching those gains. They're not getting there, and they're like, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And then they train harder and harder, and they get injured or they're just defeated. And so I think there's a problem with that. Yeah, now, I do want to say there's bodybuilders, there's people out there on steroids that work their butt off.
Yeah.
And just because they're on steroids, that stuff doesn't come easy. So I still have a respect for that. But in my opinion, that's not something I want in my life. I want to see what's this body that God gave me capable of with the other tools he gave me. And now I think there's times maybe for recovery or certain instances, the research and things are getting better than that. Sure. with that type of thing. But I think we really need to know what can our body do with the right nutrition, the right workouts, what am I capable of? Because I could blend a lot. I could blend a lot with someone on steroids. I could give them not a very good workout, not a very good meal plan, and I could look great. Mm-hmm. I could take all that glory for it and say, look what I did. It's not necessarily what I did. I remember when I was younger, I was working out in the gym by myself, and I heard a trainer kind of trying to get someone to take that, a really young guy, probably wasn't over 18. And he goes, look, if I'm going from Florida to California, do you want to walk there, or do you just want to take a plane? Let's take the plane. Let's get there quicker. And I was just disgusted. Like, I can't believe that. This trainer's probably not very good, and he's going to use that to promote himself. So, and a lot of these top bodybuilders that are really good and they're honest, they'll admit it. Yep. And they'll say, you need 10 years of really building your body, seeing what it's capable of, getting your tendons, getting your muscles used to these weights before you even think about that.
Yeah, I like that guy. Was it C-Bum? Is that his name? C-Bum? C-Bum, the guy who won Physique, come on, it's a classic for how many years in a row? He's got the drink in there. Let's see, who is it? Chris Bumstead. There he is. Yeah. Chris Bumstead. Seen a lot of interviews with this guy. Very well spoken. Looks amazing. Got that very classic Arnold physique, but is willing to admit the fact, yes, I do take performance-enhancing drugs, but it's not everything. You don't get a body like that by not being disciplined in other parts of your life.
There's a lot of hard work involved right there.
Yeah, a lot of great genetics too. Yeah. I mean, at that level right there. Yeah. But walk me through this then. Just how do you approach the gym? Like I walk in there knowing this is how I'm feeling today. Sometimes, like yesterday, I did a half Murph yesterday with the vest on. For some reason, I'm just feeling like I need to get a full body workout in yesterday. Other times, I'm like, I want to push around some damn weight today. I'm going to go a little heavier. But if I go into the gym with you, though, Danny, how do we approach a workout? What is it like? Kind of walk me through the process.
Well, it's individual for you. What's your goals? Are you do you play football? Are you doing jiu-jitsu? Are you just wanting to move better with your kids? Do more activities? So what's your goal? So if someone comes to me and they go, I just want to get in good shape, that's great. But let's set some goals. What would mean good shape? But what are you going to compare that to? When's the satisfaction going to come? Because that could be endless.
So true.
So, I mean, really to answer that question, there's a lot involved with that. It depends on how you're feeling, what your goals are. But, if you're consistent and you're working out all the time, sometimes it's okay to just go in there and work out to get the work in. But someone starting out, I want to know, what is your reason? Yeah. What is it? Because then it's going to pay off. So when you go to do that activity, you're going to see the difference.
I want to ask about questions for a trainer, someone like you. If I'm my first time ever going to a trainer, I am not going to have a clue what to ask. It's like going to a car dealership and you know nothing about cars. What advice could you give somebody who's looking to hire someone to get them in better shape, to change their lifestyle? Because in a way, you're checking off boxes that aren't just physical, mental, personal, business. You're spending time with this person all the time. What questions should they ask?
Well, once again, this goes back to, why are you working out? Okay. And then, I offer the first session free for anybody because I want it to be the right fit. I want you to know what I bring to the table, and then you decide. So there's no charge. It's completely up to you. So as far as that goes, here's my goal. When I tell this trainer that I'm going to my goal, and he puts me through a workout, did any of that lead to my goal? Did he tell me how it's going to lead there? So I like to show people right away, okay, this is your goal. Here's the road we're going to take to it. So I think a lot goes with that.
Yeah, so you basically need to figure out, are they going to be able to work you out for your goal? Or are they just going to go the same routine for you that's going to be templated that they do for the next person, right?
Yep.
How about men and women, the body part that you see when they walk in there? If we could change this one body part, like I think for me, it was probably my lower back. I didn't ever focus on my lower back at all. I always wanted the wide lats when I did bodybuilding. Maybe I'd want to do squats but I never focused on my lower back. Do you see there's a body part that's vastly underserved when you're training? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. Number one, when you ask that question, I think of glutes.
Really? Okay.
So glutes is your main hip stabilizer. So if it's going to improve your balance. It's if you have weak glutes, the pain's going to end up happening to your knees and your low back. So it's going to go up and down from there. So we need glutes. That's what brings it all together. For women, that's an easy goal. They always want to work their glutes. For guys, they're like, what, glutes?
Yeah.
But it's the strongest muscle group in your body. It's like there's a lot of strong muscle there. Yep. And so that's one area that it helps with knee pain, back pain, and then also just feet and ankles. Make sure you got good ankle mobility. If you don't, it's going to affect your knees, your hips, your back. So that's a really important area to address.
And okay, so talk to me about tricks of the trade then. So if I glutes, I know you're talking about ankle mobility. Every now and then I know I should use probably like a racquetball, but I have a golf ball in my office over there, and I'll take my foot and rub it along the bottom of the golf ball, and it just hurts, like heck. But loosening up that bottom of the foot. I've got the gun that I use right here on the inside of my leg. Are there any tools out there that you recommend for your clients and you recommend for our viewers that they could get a hold of, or massage techniques or anything they could do to improve the quality of their body or their mobility?
It's not even really a tool. First of all, cut down the inflammation in your diet.
What does that mean?
just the foods you're eating that are very inflammatory.
Okay.
Because that's going to cause a lot of pain. It's going to cause your joints not to move as good. So that's important. But also, like I said, just starting with the feet and ankles, and really, I'm just big on using your body, because we can have a lot of gadgets, we can have a lot of different stuff, but so for like feet and ankles, you take your fist and your thumb, and you put it that far away from the wall, you put your toes up about that distance, keep your heels down, and you try to drive your knee to the wall.
Yep.
Okay, if you can't drive your knee to the wall, there's some ankle mobility problems there. So then there's some exercise, such as getting on a step, doing step downs, focusing on the descent, working that. There's some exercises we can work from there. But something I use a lot, if you're looking for a product, I get this little massage ball. It's got something you hold on to and a little ball that rolls inside of it.
Okay, yeah.
I have like 4 of them, one in my truck, one by my bed, like 2 in the gym. And that thing, I've helped so many people just rolling that on their hips, their back, their shoulders, their neck. It just makes all the difference. They're like $12.
Yeah.
I sell them at my gym because I use it on someone one time and they're like, whoa, this feels different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's one right there. Take it home and start using it. And it blows my mind what that does. So then something else could be a pair of glute bands. We're talking about glutes. You get, I like the cloth ones.
Okay, yeah.
You put those on. You take 10 steps to the left, 10 steps to the right, 10 steps to the left, 9 steps to the right, 9 steps to the left, 8, 8, 7, 7, work your way down to 0. Pretty simple way to work your glutes effectively in the lateral motion.
Yeah.
You can put that on, put the glute band on about a dollar bill's height above your knee, do some body weight squats. That's going to activate the glutes more. That's a pretty good tool. And not only that, it's going to train you when you're doing the squats, especially like if I take a young high school football player or something. They can be a great athlete, but a lot of times they don't really have the coordination yet.
Yep.
So I can take them, put a glute band on them, have them keep their knees pushed out while they're squatting. Now they're learning how to activate their glutes. So when they take that glute band off and they go to a bodyweight squats, those muscles are programmed to activate properly. So now they're using their glutes more. And I would say one of my favorite things that I use is I have a sled. It's a Tank M1 sled.
Yep.
So it's very simple. You just push it. And it has internal resistance, so 3 settings. The faster you push it, the more resistance it has. So whether I take...
Something like that?
Yeah. So I got a 90-year-old client, and when I started working with him, he used a walker everywhere he went. Now he uses a walker when he don't really use a walker at all, except when he goes for his mile walk. Mm-hmm. He'll take it with him to be careful. But I'll put him on that sled, and it's really no different than using a walker, and I can add however much resistance I want. It's safe and it's effective. Or I can go back to the high school football player who I don't really want to load him up with a heavy barbell squat. I want him to build that coordination with the glute band, but I can put him on the sled, put it on heavy resistance, and just really hit his legs hard. So he's building strength while I'm getting his coordination trained to get better at the heavier lifts, the squats or the deadlift or whatever that more complicated lift is. And like I said, it's not just physical, it's mental. You know, when we're in real life, we don't just pick something up and set it down 10 times back to back. Mm-hmm. We usually pick it up and we carry it. So, you could do something I like to do. Maybe you do 10 bicep curls, then you take a heavy plate or heavy dumbbells, you hold them at a 90-degree angle and you go walk with them. Because that's functional fitness. If I'm picking up a couch and moving it, I'm in this position and I got to hold it. So there's a big difference between lifting a heavy weight up and down and then just sitting there holding it and bearing it out.
If you got to help somebody move a couch, that's right. You want to be ready for it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Isometric. So, like grappling, a grappler, that's constant isometric tension. Your muscles are constantly under tension. And if you're not used to that burn, you're not used to that, that mindset of getting through it, it's very eye-opening.
You talk about mindset right there. I want to kind of transfer a little bit into that because a lot of what you're doing as a trainer is working on someone's mindset because there's nothing mentally difficult oftentimes about working out. The actual, okay, you're going to get into a squat position, you're going to stay there. I'm not like, well, how do I do that? Do I bend my knees down? Like, I can do the activity mentally. But there's a whole other side of the mental game that you're working on. This mindset that, hey, listen, I'm going to do the things I say I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the promises I make to myself. I'm going to push myself beyond being comfortable right now in my life. I am going to have to make changes to get there and you're going to hold me accountable to it. We're going to have this agreement. There's this whole mental side of what you do. Tell me how you change someone's mindset. Is it possible to do that? Do you see people that come in broken and then they leave like not put together, but they leave in a better place than when they came to you? And how do you approach that with someone's mindset?
Well, for one, yeah, I do see that. So for me personally, knowing I'm not doing it alone makes a big difference for me. And that's where like God comes in, knowing I'm not in this alone. So that kind of keeps me moving. So same thing with that. I hope someone has some type of, relationship with God, because that can push you really far. But
I'm thinking about the guy out there who's gone through a divorce, right? I mean, he's broken, man. Fitness hasn't been a part of his life for 10 years. And I don't want to blame that individual, because I truly believe this, that a person's body is only a reflection of their priorities in their life at that moment. John and I were talking about this yesterday. Well, yeah, John, it's because I'm working 80 hours a week over here. But it's a reflection of their priorities. Everybody, and if we had a big room here and people stood up and you looked around at everybody, you could quickly tell whose priority was fitness and whose wasn't, right? But I don't think that makes them a bad person. I don't think that means they failed during that side of their life. It just means they had different priorities at that point in their life. But there are men and women who come to you, I'm sure they've gone through it. Now they're back out there and they're trying to improve their life. But man, you know what? It's been 10 years. I'm going through a divorce. I just lost my job. I didn't get the promotion that I thought. Someone broke up with me. Work is not going well. Bankruptcy is happening. And, Danny, some people just feel that way. Their mindset is just, come on, man. Now I got to add in fitness on top of this. I just want to go eat the biggest bowl at Chipotle and go to bed. How do you change that person's mindset? What can you tell that individual that, man, they're like, I'm looking for something right now. Help me, Danny. Get me to a point where I feel different than I do about myself. What do they need to do, brother?
First of all, I tell them, you can do it. You can do it, and it's one step at a time. So, like I said, I know I keep going back to this, but a 5-10 minute workout, because now you got to win. So if you go through the whole day and you're just feeling down and out and you're stressed and you're thinking about all the problems in your life and you have no win to look back on, it's very discouraging. But if I can look back and say, you know what, I screwed up breakfast and lunch and dinner, but I got a good 10-minute workout in. You can build off that, and then just like I said earlier, I have people come in, they're like, I'm just not feeling it today. Let's just get through the motions. Okay. Well, then secretly, they end up doing more than they've ever done. And now they're like, wow, that was my worst day. I didn't feel like I could do anything, and I just did my best. So it's just putting that hope in them and showing them, like, you are good enough. And you may not feel it now, but we're going to work on it. We're going to take one step at a time, and we're going to work on it. And for me, my priority is to do that as quick as possible, to show them that as quick as possible, hopefully within 5 or 10 minutes, whether it's just a quick exercise or something, just to snap them into being confident for the rest of the workout.
It's very interesting you say that. John, can you please look this up real quick? Can you please look up 7 geniuses, if you could, for me? So I believe that a lot of people, what they are, here we go. Sources from the web. There we go. Body kinesthetic. All right. That is a genius that some people have. You're a great athlete. That's a genius that people have. Logical geniuses. These are the people that can solve problems. There are other people that are interpersonal geniuses. They can read a room and they can read emotion. Intrapersonal geniuses. They understand their own emotions very well and therefore can translate that to other people. I don't think individuals give themselves enough credit sometimes for the genius that they are in their life. And I think that we would do very well earlier in people's lives and children to empower them with the genius that they are, right?
Yes.
And the reason I think about that is that guy who goes through that day who doesn't feel like he accomplished anything. I feel this way. Well, I've got some number of employees who I impacted their life. They came and they worked and we were successful maybe in doing that. But I don't think about that, I was a good boyfriend. I was a good husband, good wife, whatever it is in your life, you could probably find some things that you're pretty darn good at that day. And you can probably find, hey, listen, I might not be a kinesthetic genius today, but man, I got in there and I understood that employees' emotions really well. I helped them through that problem that they're having. And that's a beautiful thing. And I don't think enough people give themselves credit for the genius that they have inside themselves. And they're so busy beating themselves up over the fact that they didn't get to that workout, they didn't eat the right meal at breakfast, whatever that might be.
I agree. First of all, it's not always about us. So maybe we didn't get the workout and we didn't do nothing, but I told the guy at the grocery store, you know what, I really like your attitude, man. You keep working hard because you got a great personality, and that guy's life may have just changed forever because you just reinforced something good that he did. So maybe yourself didn't do anything, but then just like you said, we tend to beat ourselves up and we forget about the other good we did that didn't involve us. We're too busy beating our own self up to see how we change an employee's life or how we change someone in the grocery store's life. And I think it's really important when you get that feeling to tell someone something good, you got to say it. I was in Dollar General. We went on vacation. I was in the mountains. I love running in the mountains. And I was about to fall asleep, and all of a sudden I got a thought in my head, get up in the morning before everybody and go run to Dollar General. I'd been driving. We're in Tennessee. We drove there. I was so tired of driving. Mountain run sounds good. Ran to Dollar General. It was like a mile and a half away. I get there, just grab some water, and I'm getting ready to go back. And this guy at the cashier at the register, he wasn't really doing anything like in particular, but there was just something that uplifted my spirit as soon as I got near him. And I said, I don't know what it is, man, but there's something really positive going on with you right now. And when I walked up here, you just really lifted my spirits. He's like, oh, thanks, man. And his eyes lit up. And then I'm like, all right, and I just left and I kept running. And I thought, you know what? That mountain run wasn't about me. I was supposed to go tell him that. Maybe he has something in his life and he needed to hear that. So once again, it's not always about me. In my own selfish way, I just wanted to do a mountain run, but I think something else happened there. So I think that's one thing we need to be aware of. The other thing is, you mentioned like building up our kids. I can be guilty of this too if I don't realize it. Oh, my daughter's not really good at math, but she loves reading. If I say something like that, now she may think, oh, I'm not really good at math, but I'm good at reading. So now I just put her in a box. So I got to watch my language because she could be really good at math. She just hasn't discovered it yet. So I think there's a lot in the power of our tongue, but also stepping outside of our comfort zones. We're not meant to be comfortable all the time. We got to step outside of it. So when you talk about these geniuses, oh, I'm really good at doing this and that, I want to find what I'm not good at, and then I'm going to go try it. So I like doing stuff that makes me nervous. I like competing in jiu-jitsu. I like stepping out, doing something like this. I like speaking in front of people. Do I really like it? Maybe not necessarily. It's not my forte, but I know it makes me nervous, so I want to go attack that. I want to step out of my comfort zone. I'll take, for instance, I always try to tell my son, step out of your comfort zone, see what you're capable of. This kid's so talented. He can sing, he can dance, he can do so much. And I remember my wife too, they're having theater. There's like auditions for Hairspray. And I said, y'all got to go do that someday. And it just went out the window, whatever. So one day I'm sitting in my backyard doing my guy stuff, working on the yard, having a great day. Everything's fine. And I thought, oh, that audition's today. So I could have kept doing what I wanted to do, or I could take a step in the doghouse, make everyone mad, and make them go do this audition. So I made him go do the audition. My wife didn't talk to me the whole way there. My son's outside begging me, Dad, I'll do anything. Please don't make me do it. I said, no, you have to do it. You have to. I'm not letting you step out of it. Long story short, he auditioned. He got a lead role. My wife got a role. He's singing with college girls, people who's been doing theater forever. He's singing, dancing on stage like he's been doing it forever. He got his first kiss on stage from a college girl by accident. And, now he's done like 10 shows, lead roles. He's singing at an Opry in Bellevue, Orange Blossom Opry. Like, he would have never discovered that if he didn't break out of that comfort zone. And I'm not taking credit for that. I felt like God just said, you got to do this. And that, not only did he step out of his comfort zone, I stepped out of my comfort zone from having fun in the yard doing my own thing. And, took a chance of being in the doghouse. And it just unlocked that. if I wouldn't have done that, or been, had the feeling that I needed to do that, maybe it would have took longer for him to discover that. I'm not saying he wouldn't have, but I just think it's very important to step out of our comfort zones, and to go back to the question, what you said, not putting ourselves in a box. And I agree, there probably are those things that we're good at, but we got to be real careful to not just put ourselves in that box.
Can we go back to that story? We're going to finish up here with Danny Ruby, Armored Up Health and Fitness. But I want to go back to that story as we end right now, because I think there's an important lesson there that I don't want to skip over, okay? Danny, there are going to be people who look at you, the jiu-jitsu guy, gym, fitness, the guy's guy type thing, rough hands, as I like to say, okay? You're the man's man. But then you've got the story you just tell about theater and about supporting your son and who's going to theater, all right? There might be some guys out there that if their wife and son came to them with something like that would be, come on, no, my son ain't doing theater, all right? He ain't doing it. So I want you to talk about that a little bit, because you're having that great day in your yard, all right? My son comes to me and says, hey, listen, I want to go play Pop Warner football. I'm like, all right, let's go. We can start throwing this around. Play some basketball. Okay. Want to wrestle? Jiu-jitsu? Let's go. Says I want to do theater. Is that the first thing that goes through your mind? I'm interested to know where that comes from you, because there's a real sense of pride that I love about what you're saying.
Luckily, there wasn't, and I'll tell you why. Because I have stepped out of those comfort zones, so I know what that does. And then you think about like a teenager, and he's been involved in martial arts way before that too. Once again, stepping out of the comfort zone. So I know what martial arts has done for me, especially competing in jiu-jitsu. You get used to that. So I knew what that could do for him. So no, it doesn't, because let me go back to that. So like a kid when they're in high school, what are they afraid of? Getting beat up by a bully, dancing in front of people, and talking to girls. Well, we already got the martial arts starting to be covered. Now the singing and dancing, now he's going to be able to dance and talk to girls. So that opens him up. So now he's going to learn better in school because he's not worried about this over here. He can be more focused. And then I'll tell you what's funny is you talk about, maybe it's not as manly. So they did it. It was successful. They loved it. Well, then it came time to, they were doing a new Christmas play. They flipped the tables on me. They go, hey, my wife goes, hey, I'm doing this to Hallmark parody for a Christmas movie. And she goes, I need a significant other. You need to go do this. I can't sing. I can't even clap on beat. When I'm in church, I got to find someone clapping and I'll clap with them. Okay, so I definitely can't dance. You could train this table to dance better than me. But anyways, I'm like, I'm going to eat. I got to do it.
Yeah.
I got to stand by it. So I did, and got the role. And so not only did I get the role, they casted me with some other woman, not my wife. So now I gotta have this, and it's a Hallmark parody, so I gotta have this intimate scene. And then my wife's looking at him like, don't you made me do this. So that went good. And now, if you'd have told me I'd have done theater, I said you're out of your mind. So now I did that show, I did a serious theater show about the Holocaust, and I did a musical, which was even crazier because I had to do an opera-like solo at the end of a scene. So, I never would have imagined that. So, I guess the moral is just step out of your comfort zone, and just like you said, for an average guy, your son goes, I want to do theater. You might not be into that, but don't put yourself in a box.
Yeah, I love what you said right there. And I want to end by asking you this. If somebody does want to get in touch with you, how do they make that happen, Danny? What do they do? Armored Up Health and Fitness? Is there a place that they can go? John, let's put it across the screen here for Danny so that people can reach out to him with questions or they want to get involved with your training.
ArmoredUpHealthAndFitness.com. You just give me a call, 352-461-9744. We got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put all those across the bottom here for you, man. You're a special person. The dancing, singing, fitness, jiu-jitsu, motivational, Danny Ruby. I mean, I'll tell you, man, that's so beautiful what you're doing for people. And I think it's really great. I wish we had more time because I'd really love to dive into more about your family. It sounds to me like your relationship with your family and with Christ is something that guides you very heavily. We don't have that much more time, but I really appreciate you coming in because I'd love there to be a part 2 where we can talk about that, all right?
Yeah, and first and foremost, all glory to God, because that's who really changed my life, and that's who helps me change other people's lives, and that's who I try to let drive the ship and not step in the way of, because that, to me, that's my foundation.
Well, I think you're doing something very special, everybody. Danny Ruby, Armored Up Health and Fitness, Central Florida. Thank you so much for stopping by and bringing Jason by as well. Thank you, buddy.
Pat.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.